Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on our very first Restless Presents webinar. We're really excited to have you all with us this evening. And ever since Restless launched just over 2 years ago, our members have been getting in touch to share their knowledge and interests with us and with the wider Restless community. And as we've grown, we've heard from more and more of you. So this webinar series, Restless Presents, seemed like the perfect outlet for our members to share their knowledge and interests with each other, especially during the pandemic and self-isolation. So we've got a whole range of different topics lined up for the series, from animal management to acupuncture and everything in between. So anything goes, or most things anyway. And we really hope you'll be as captivated by the sheer breadth of interests and expertise amongst our members as we are. We're also on the lookout for more speakers for the series, so please do get in touch if you've got a passion that you'd like to share on another Restless Presents webinar in the future. So on to our very first webinar on setting up a business if you're aged over 50. I am delighted to introduce you all to Restless member Viv Poole. Viv hails from Canada originally, where she started a career in sales and marketing after graduating in French literature. In her own words, Viv wasn't particularly ambitious at the time, and she wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do. So after traveling and then meeting, marrying and starting a family with an Englishman, Viv settled down here in the UK. A few years later, she says she had to find some ambition when her circumstances changed, and she found herself as a single mother to 2 young children. She didn't do things by halves and started evening classes, studying for an MBA through distance learning at the same time as setting up her first training business. And since then, Viv has set up many new businesses and has consulted for many small and medium-sized businesses too. So after retiring a few years ago, Viv decided quickly that retirement wasn't for her, and she returned to part-time work, setting up Silver Startups, a coaching business that helps the over 50s to set up their own business. So Viv is perfectly placed to deliver this evening's webinar for you all. So before I hand over to her for her presentation, I just wanted to cover off a little bit of housekeeping about how the webinar is going to run this evening. So we'll save questions until the end of the presentation, although do feel free to use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screens to ask a question at any point, but we'll come to it at the end of Viv's presentation. So please do make sure that you type any questions for Viv in the Q&A box, not the chat box. And if you'd prefer to ask a question verbally rather than having to type it out, you can do that. All you have to do is click on the raise a hand button, which you should hopefully see at the bottom of your screens as well. And we will unmute you and you can ask your question verbally to Viv. And your videos won't be shown at any point during the presentation. It's just the speakers' videos. And if you need any technical help, please also press the raise your hand button or use the chat box, and my colleague Sarah will be able to help you out in the background. So without further ado, over to Viv for her presentation. Thank you, Viv.
Hi. Thanks so much for coming along this evening and letting me speak about a subject I consider to be very interesting, setting up a business. As you will have read in the little profile, I've been working with startups as well as established businesses for many years. I retired a few years ago, but always did something business related until my husband got ill and then passed away, which completely floored me. But now I have renewed energy and have decided to continue with my work, with many thanks to the Restless community who have been so supportive since I joined. I am a big fan. My business career started back in Canada in sales and marketing. Fast forward to the UK, I got jobs in further and higher education, launching and running training businesses on their behalf. As soon as it was financially viable, I started my own business because I never liked being managed and I'm no good at office politics. Handing in my notice was a huge pleasure. I started a consultancy with a business partner, which brought its own challenges. Then when she moved to New Zealand, I kept going under my own name. I still do some consultancy work under the name of Viv Sloan Associates, and I run a blog and website called Silver Startups. Oops. About 2 years ago, I investigated some academic research on senior entrepreneurship and found some interesting points. Older entrepreneurs are more successful than younger ones. They're incredibly resilient, have a higher tolerance for risk, and are often more qualified for financing, have years of professional experience, and a wide network of business contacts. When it comes to small business ownership, age is an asset. Statistically, it's been shown that 70% of businesses started by people in their 50s are likely to survive for at least 5 years, compared to only 28% of businesses started by those aged under 50. Entrepreneurship is good for your health. Research has found that entrepreneurship can not only help to keep you active, it can also create meaning and purpose by helping you achieve goals you weren't able to pursue when you were younger. Having a purpose in life is linked to healthy aging, and a recent study found that you have a 15% less risk of dying. That's right, 15% less risk of dying than those who do not. The over 50s I've been coaching who want to start a business for the first time, and that's different to seasoned entrepreneurs, that's different, but for the first time, have developed over their lives valuable skills such as communication, financial management, marketing, problem solving, and many more. Many don't want to take on financial risk, and some are not as tech savvy as the younger ones. They've all been affected by further challenges typically faced by the over 50s, including stress of redundancy and ageism, health problems, bereavement and caring duties, but they're resilient and manage their situation, except for those with challenging mental health issues, which redundancy and unemployment can trigger. If you are not emotionally fit, you will need to find ways to build emotional resilience, possibly through therapy, because you need to be emotionally strong to start and run a business. Starting a business is the most exciting thing you can do, well, if you're me. I'll never forget when in 2006, as part of my research into the insurance industry, I discovered that there was an emerging price comparison business model. This was when Confused.com just began. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not even sure if they were advertising it yet. And I convinced my client to build it into his startup strategy and into his business plan I was writing for him. It attracted a huge investor and made a lot of money for him. I remember telling him I found the golden nugget. That was so exciting. Over the years, I've been involved with hundreds of small businesses, from startups to about £250 million turnover. In the past 10 years, I'd say that the riskiest venture was a ship recycling business started by a 69-year-old seasoned entrepreneur and his sons. And they invested millions of their own money. And I have to say that, and I was their business development manager, subcontract for 5 years. Setting up a ship recycling business in the UK was not for the faint-hearted, and they sold it a few years ago and everyone was exhausted. The most successful client was 50 when he started a ground engineering firm introducing an innovative technique into the UK from abroad. He set up in partnership with a large plant hire firm, but this didn't work out. So after 5 years, he closed it down and started up again with a business partner aged 70. Now, I worked with them for a number of years, but I lost touch with them. So I just checked on them to see how they were doing. And they recently raised £150,000 in crowdfunding, and they won an award last year, and they're profitable and doing really well. My most inspirational coachee, because I do have some coachees, I don't have too many, but I do coach a number of them. She's a dance instructor, a single parent. She doesn't have much money, but she has lots of friends. She's developed a business model that's showing real promise. And during the lockdowns, she's been training people online and also spends her time setting up her business structure, completing her qualifications, finalizing her policies, and updating her website. She succeeded in getting funding, sponsorship, bookings, and soon endorsement for her program. And her business is set for major growth, which has been thrilling for her. And it's thrilling for me because I get to hear all this excitement because I'm, as her coach, it's wonderful. My coachees are everyday people aiming to carve a place for themselves in the business world, willing to work hard in return for being their own boss. For some, it's about surviving. For others, it's about exploring. And for some people, it's about trying to achieve their dreams. Every startup faces risks, and you must always be aware of your risks so you can mitigate against them. Few people jump into entrepreneurship. They keep their day job if this is possible, until they can earn enough to set up on their own. I prepared for a year before handing in my notice. The riskiest moment for my business is when I had my consultancy, Team Pro Solutions, was we almost closed down because of a huge bad debt. And we learned quickly about money management after that. So what would you like to do? You can generate extra money quickly, become a tutor, join a focus group, become a market researcher, offer a delivery service. If you have a hobby like baking or gardening, you could turn it into a business, and you can earn good money, for example, by dog walking. Where I live in this area, where lots of people have dogs. And one of my neighbors set herself up, who needed money, set herself up as a tutor online and also a dog walker. And there's nothing nicer when you go away on holiday, or if you're away, to just hand your dog over to a neighbor, knowing it's going to be in their house with other like-minded dogs, and taking the same walks as you take them on. And she's done very well. The pandemic clearly has had an impact, but in normal times, it was a good business, and it'll come back. Okay, you can run a lifestyle business, meaning that you tailor your business to support your lifestyle goals, such as small consultancy or an online clothing shop. You can run an equity business where you intend to increase the value of your business over time. And what if you don't know what you want to do? Well, you can Google ideas for a business startup, make a short list, and there are scoring systems online that can help you make a decision. And then, of course, you can talk to your friends. Do you need to be passionate about your business idea? This is a very valid question, and one asked often. People think, should I follow my head or follow my heart? I really am passionate about one thing, but I think I could make money doing something else. So I looked online for the answer just for this presentation, because normally we debate it quite a lot. Money alone will not give you the life you want, and also passion alone will not make a successful business. Combining your skills and passion with a basic understanding of business is the best way to form a profitable venture that you can enjoy for years to come. How do you know if your idea will work? It's better to explore your business idea's potential for success before you put your time and effort into it, only to find out it isn't viable. First, you need to gain a thorough understanding of your market and how you can serve it competitively. Then you need to research your most successful competitors. Ensure that your product or service can stand out from theirs and is good enough to answer the question, why should my target customer buy from me rather than from my competitors? Do you think you can successfully position your business amongst these competitors and attract the number of customers you need to make the business financially viable? Try to find as much evidence of this as possible. Then you need to assess the commercial feasibility of your business, answering questions like, how much money do you need to meet your living expenses? How long do you expect to be in business before you make your first sale? How much money do you need to start up? How do you intend to fund the business during the startup phase? What are your estimated costs? What price would your customers pay? What is your sales forecast? How much working capital will you need to sustain operations? I'll give you an example of this situation. One of my young entrepreneurs was a qualified social worker and nurse, and she set up a domiciliary care business. And she got contracts which were secured through social services for the area that she was working in. Lots of contracts. She recruited and trained lots of carers, and the business was growing. The problem was that the carers who were subcontracted needed paying every week, but social services, well, she had to chase them, and I actually did a lot of chasing as well, just to get paid. And so she wasn't able, that she didn't have enough cash in the business to pay the carers. So she took a second job at night to be able to pay the carers on a weekly basis. And of course she got exhausted, closed the business and went back to being a nurse. I would imagine that one day she'll come back again and try again, because that was her dream. But she knows she needs more cash in the business. Okay, see if you can find some potential customers to speak to or set up a focus group. Then perhaps conduct an online survey to find out whether they would buy your product or service and how much they would be prepared to pay. Okay, 2 ideas that didn't work. The first one, this was a colleague and myself. It was called Go 60. And this was about artificial intelligence delivering information about insurance through a chatbot to the over 60s. And it was great. We came up with all these ideas, put a kind of beta website together. I don't know, we approached potential buyers. But our problem was it was an idea we were selling, not an actual package. We didn't want to risk putting the money into the software. And the time for selling ideas was over. You had to take some risk yourself, and we weren't ready to take that risk. So we abandoned the idea. And another idea was a kind of dating agency for prospective business partners based on a computer algorithm. This was about the time they were having a dating agencies they were saying you could find your perfect match using an algorithm. And I thought, well, the chemistry between me and my business partner could have been better. Maybe there's an algorithm that can really match business partners. So I researched it and I approached a university professor and who was like an expert in algorithms, and he assured me it would never work. And I spoke to a few other people who were not interested, so I abandoned the idea. So there are more, but I think you get the idea. You know, you have to, not all ideas are going to turn out to be businesses. So choosing a name. Your business name is crucial because it will influence how you're perceived and remembered by target customers. The type of name you choose will reflect the type of business you are. So what should you do? You can build a short list of names, maybe see what your competitors call themselves. Check the name is available at Companies House, which is the UK's Register of Companies. Make sure a domain name is available. Google your short list of names to ensure no one else is using it. And you may want to ask people you know for feedback. I always did this before naming any business I started. Okay, business structure. If you're a sole trader, you run your own business as an individual and are self-employed. You can keep all your business profits after you've paid tax on them, and you're personally responsible for any losses your business makes. This is the most popular form of business structure, followed by a limited company, which is legally separate from people who run it, has separate finances from your personal ones, and it can keep any profits it makes after paying tax. In a partnership, you and your partner or partners personally share responsibility for your business. A limited liability partnership structure is mainly used by professional services companies, for example, accountancy or law. It's like an ordinary business partnership, but members aren't personally liable for any debts the business can't pay. A community interest company is a special type of limited company which exists to benefit the community rather than private shareholders. And I have to say that this type of business structure is very good at attracting funding. And then, of course, there's franchise like McDonald's, Pizza Hut, or Spar. So do you need a business partner? Well, there are pros and cons. The pros, your business will benefit from the additional skills, experience, expertise, networks, and capital a partner will bring. You'll be able to share responsibilities and the workload, and you can motivate and energize each other. The cons, you lose autonomy, risk clashing with your partner, and if they are a friend or family member, your relationship could suffer. They may not be willing or able to work as hard as you, which could lead to resentment, and winding up the business can be messy. Make sure you know your potential partner well, that you share the same vision, values, and work ethic, and that you will be able to have constructive problem-solving debates rather than stressful arguments when facing the normal challenges of business life. Do you need a business model? Yes. A business model is a plan that describes how your business makes money. First, you need to estimate your sales income, or how much money you can generate from sales per year over, say, the next 3 years, because it's going to take time for your business to establish itself. Then deduct the cost of sales, which are directly attributed to making the product or delivering the service sold by your company. These costs can include labor, materials, and shipping. You arrive at your gross profit margin, and then you deduct your overheads, payroll, taxation, and interest payments, and you arrive at your net profit. Business modeling is a complex subject, and lots has been written about the business model canvas, a strategic tool for constructing your model. On the other hand, if you can just work through how your business is going to make money and prove to yourself that you can make a profit, then that is an excellent start. Your target market is the group of people or organizations that are most likely to buy your product or service. For your marketing communications to have an impact, they need to be meaningful to this group. For example, I asked one of my young entrepreneurs who designs and makes women's lingerie who her target customer was, and she said, every woman likes lingerie. This is a common response. People think they can target everyone, but the cost of marketing to everyone would be much too high. When I saw the lingerie, and after she described a photo shoot being set up, I could see that her products were aimed at young women, say about 18 to 28. She didn't realize that she was targeting younger women, and sometimes it helps to talk to a coach, mentor, or friend. Eventually, she will branch out into other segments, but at present, she is starting with women like her. To define your market, you need to describe the problem you're solving. For example, I was working with a sign writer who specializes in gold lettering, and the problem that he was solving was poor signage made from cheap materials. So you conduct market research to identify the group of people or organizations most likely to suffer from these problems. For him, it was tattoo shops, pubs, art galleries, tea shops, stately homes, traditional retail businesses, and that sort of thing. So once you've done this, you need to estimate the size of your market. You can find market research publications online. You can use the Office of National Statistics, the census. There are local databases with local demographics called Street Check and others like that. Or if you're like him, you can go for a drive or walk in the target areas and have a look around. Then you estimate how many within this market will become your customers over a period of time, say 3 years. This figure multiplied by your selling price will become your sales target. Your marketing strategy and plan will help you meet or exceed this target. Okay, this is not complicated. It might look sort of complex, but actually it's a useful tool. I've always used it because if I align everything perfectly, I can see at a glance my position or where my client is positioned in the marketplace or build in a market position. Once you've defined your target market, you need to find out who they're buying from, as these are your competitors. It's important to find out everything you can about them. Study their website, logo and branding, locations, products and services or both, prices, the financial position, and for limited companies, you can go to Companies House and find out all reviews and articles about them, the reasons behind their success or failure, their unique selling points, how they market themselves, which social media platforms they use, and how many followers they have. Identify their strengths and weaknesses and assess how you can develop your offer so that you can attract some of their customers and begin to establish yourself in the market. Just a quick thing is you can see there's a column for customers, and a lot of companies, they'll put their customers on their website. And if they're your competitor, well, it's the perfect target customer. You can just, aim at some of your marketing at them. Anyway, that's just a little thing. There's a lot you can get out of this. I highly recommend it. A SWOT analysis is a strategic planning technique that can help you focus on the factors that have the greatest impact on your company's success. So I've always used this when writing a business plan. Not everybody does. Some people don't like to use it, but I always have. You match your competitive strengths with the opportunities in the market. You find a way to overcome your weaknesses and deal with the threats to your business. Okay, devising your marketing strategy. As a business startup, your main marketing goal will be to gain new customers, build customer relationships, establish a position in your market, and achieve your sales target while keeping your marketing costs down. The first year of any business is a real learning experience, and as you discover more about your customers and your market, you need to be prepared to make several changes to your marketing strategy and plan. An excellent model that will help you devise your marketing strategy is called the marketing mix. It will help you develop the right product or service with the right level of quality to meet customer expectations. Arrive at a price that reflects your position in the market, that your target customer is prepared to pay, and that enables you to trade profitably. Determine how to make your product or service available in the right place, at the right time, and in the right quantity. Devise an effective promotional strategy that communicates what you do and what you can offer customers. Decide how frontline staff, if you intend to employ any, will interact with customers and what training they will need in order to represent your brand. Design your processes so that your customers' experience, starting from the moment they discover your company through to purchase and beyond, is positive. And design your customers' prospecting environment, buying environment, for example, your office, a website, your online shop, to reduce customer uncertainty and build trust. What does your brand stand for? What promise are you making to your customers? This is what the Chartered Institute of Marketing says. Brand is really a symbol of everything the business stands for, what it promises customers, and increasingly, what it actually delivers. It works like a shorthand. If you see a BMW badge on a car, you expect good engineering without actually having to drive the car. An Apple logo on a computer might lead you to anticipate high design values and ease of use. Therefore, a brand exists in the mind of customers, its employees, and wider society as a set of expectations and perceived values that differentiate it. As a business startup, you'll probably need a website and some basic marketing materials, such as business cards and leaflets. You need to think about the design of your logo, website, and all branded materials because your branding reflects your brand promise and sets you apart from your competitors. Okay, your marketing plan. You've decided upon your revenue targets and devised a marketing strategy based on the wants, needs, and expectations of your target customers and your marketing goals. How do you turn strategy into action? Through a marketing plan. First, you set your marketing objectives. Next, you'll need to determine how you aim to achieve them and the resources and costs involved. For example, through social media, influencer marketing. My lingerie lady would send free lingerie to influencers. They'd put out a good word and she could get orders from that. There are things you can do. Advertising, PR, email marketing, networking, there's a whole range of things. Your marketing plan will culminate in a marketing action plan, which specifies what the actions are. For example, advertising in the local newspaper, a Google Ads campaign, networking at the local Chamber of Commerce, etc. Who's responsible for the action? If there's more than one person involved, the deadline date for completion, the objectives of the action, the cost of the action, and the measures of success, or how you'll know if the action achieved its objectives and if it's worth doing again. Your marketing campaigns are designed to reach your target customers and persuade them that they should visit your shop, website, online shop, or other location. The sales process is what you do to close the sale and gain a confirmed order. Okay, you've got selling face-to-face, you've got direct mail, telesales, and e-commerce. You might use an intermediary such as a retailer or wholesaler to enable you to sell goods to individual consumers. In this case, you will need to focus your sales effort on selling to the intermediary. If you want to sell your product or service overseas, you might wish to consider using a sales agent. If you have an online shop where customers can purchase your product without contacting you, there are a range of tactics you can use to increase your conversions from prospects to customers, recover abandoned sales, and gain customer loyalty. For example, Shopify, one of the e-commerce platforms for online stores, offers training and advice, and you can get that from all of the e-commerce platforms. Okay, the sales cycle. This is the process salespeople follow to close a new customer. And this is mostly when the potential customer is a business or organization. You can get sales training very easily. It's not, you may be intimidated by it, but after a bit of training, you'll find that it's a very natural thing to do. So they prospect, you identify leads and fill your pipeline with suitable prospects. You connect, you make contact, ask for a mutual acquaintance to introduce you, engage with your prospect on social media like LinkedIn or Twitter, and reach out over email or phone. You introduce yourself, share the value of what you have to offer, and ask if they'd be interested in learning more. Then you do research. You set up a qualifying call. You'll learn more about their business, their needs, and your ability to meet those needs. Some calls will end with you realizing you're not a good fit. Others will give you the insight to make a strong case for their adoption of your product or service. And then you make a presentation. You need to present to the decision maker at their business. Of course, these days, everything is going on via Zoom or online. And then there's the close. You follow up after the presentation, address a prospect's objections or further questions, and then you ask for the order. And you must ask for the order, because if you don't ask for the order, you may not get it. If they say yes, draw up the contract and send it over for a final review and signing. If they say no, you might have to address further objections or walk away from the business for the moment. This is a little aside. I was trained in Montreal where you didn't actually take no for an answer. And if you hadn't ever been thrown out of an office, you couldn't really call yourself a salesperson. But that was a different time and in a different era, in a different culture, in a different country. Okay, just to let you know. A little note about contracts. It's very common to be so keen to take the order that the contract is often an afterthought. But if you don't pay it attention, you could well have problems when trying to get paid. So really pay attention to that. And also you need to keep customer records. You can start with using an Excel spreadsheet, but there are database packages like Salesforce that you can purchase too, which are very useful. Okay, do you need a business plan? A business plan will outline your operational and financial objectives and show how they'll be achieved. Preparing a business plan will help you clarify your business idea, identify potential problems, set out your goals, and measure your progress. It needs to be updated on a regular basis as conditions change. If you need to attract investors or acquire a bank loan, then your business plan may need to be detailed along with financial forecasts. Otherwise, you should just need a concise plan along with financial forecasts. So this is a template of a one-page business plan. There are other templates, but this is just one I picked up off the internet. You describe the problem, a description of the problem or need your customers have, and any relevant data that supports your claim. Try to find evidence for that, as much evidence as you can. What your solution is, your product or service, and how it solves the problem, how your business will make money, who is your customer and how many of them are there. What's your competitive advantage? What makes you different from the competition, and how this will lead to greater success, customer loyalty, and growth. What about the management structure of your business, if you're going to have one? And then a financial summary, your profit and loss, cash flow, balance sheet, and your sales forecast. There are other things to consider. For example, customers and suppliers. Should you be doing business with them? Does your customer, is it financially sound enough? Are you sure they're going to pay you? And maybe should you be asking for some of the payment up front? These are decisions you have to make. What about suppliers? Are they financially sound, or will they let you down when you really need them? Customer service, ensuring that the service that you offer is equal to or better than your competitors. And what about employing people? Most businesses wait until they really must take people on, so I haven't covered it here. But of course, there's lots of obligations you have to know about before you do that. And then what about legal aspects? You may need to protect your intellectual property with patents or copyright and trademarks. And what about health and safety and GDPR? I mean, my logo, Silver, not my logo, but the name Silver Startups, I had that patented. Tax and national insurance, how much are you going to have to pay? And what about insurance? I have professional indemnity insurance. Do you need insurance? You need to find that out. And then finance. Where can you get grants and loans and business support? Every area has a growth hub, and right now growth hubs are offering free training and mentoring. So I would definitely look into that. And then there are chambers of commerce. Starting a business is challenging, It's also exciting and it can be stressful, but people over 50 with our life and work experience, our contacts and our resilience are well positioned to be successful in business, and starting up will help us live longer too. And as my logo says, it's never too late to start your own business. Thank you very much. And that's my my logo, my website, and if you have any questions, please email me. Thank you.
Viv, thank you very much indeed for that presentation, which was really thorough and interesting, and hopefully that was of interest to the audience. We've had a few questions through, Viv, which I'm just going to fire away at you if that's okay.
Sure.
Two of them relate to funding. So one person has asked you about crowdfunding. They say it sounds interesting, and can you expand on it, please?
I'm afraid I'm not a specialist here, but this is something that if you were interested in crowdfunding, you'd have to research and choose the different the right crowdfunding platform for yourself. It's something you need to look into. I'm no specialist at that. I'm happy to help you look into it if you want to email me.
Sounds good. And in relation to funding as well, Viv, somebody else has asked, they've been considering setting up a new business, but they don't have savings to get them started. So if they don't get funding, what other options are there available to them if they're running low on cash?
Well, it depends on the type of business you want to start. Some businesses you can start up without cash. You can, if you already have the internet, you don't need a lot of money to set up some of these businesses. It depends on the kind of business. Again, if it's a community interest company, there's lots of funding around. You have a lot of options, but I'd have to know more to give you better advice.
But people shouldn't be discouraged if they don't have savings set aside for
Not
this.
at all.
Options for them.
None of my coachees put savings aside. Okay. They're all, they have a certain amount of money, but not huge investment. If you start a consultancy, that doesn't cost you much. The cost of a website, some business cards, and maybe some advert. Google ads is so very inexpensive. No, there are ways around big investment. You don't need a lot of cash. You really don't.
Okay, that's great. I'm sure that's going to be really encouraging for some people, because that can be so off-putting, can't it? So the questions are coming in thick and fast now. So let me go to the top one here. Pretty topical. What effect do you think COVID-19 is having on running businesses at the moment?
Well, it's quite interesting. It's bringing out the best in some of my coachees and mentees, in that it's making them really be flexible and adaptable. So everybody has to move everything online, and they're not making the money they would have made without COVID, but everybody's happy if they're surviving. And also people are also getting some extra funding from government. So that's also helping. One of my coachees, or it wasn't really a coach, he was a gentleman who runs a craft business. I won't go into the details, but he's been so successful because more people at home are doing crafts, and he sells supplies. So he's a winner. And then I have a photographer who set up a business, and was doing well until COVID, and now he's moved to video editing. I mean, people have had to sort of be as agile and flexible as possible, but it has delayed my coaches who were thinking they would have launched by now. Some of them are trading, but they didn't really launch. You can't have a really big launch if it really is a person-to-person business. So it's delayed, really made big delays to everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, Viv. Graham is asking, when you first start out, you may not have any reviews or testimonials, and these can often be a maker or a breaker, can't they? And I know you mentioned in your marketing strategy about influencer marketing and things, and word of mouth is just can be so powerful. Graham wants to know, if you don't have reviews or testimonials, how can you address this? What should you do?
Well, you can start without charging anybody anything. Just do, if you give something to someone or do something for someone, make sure they're totally delighted, and then they can give you a testimonial and you get a little track record, and then you can build on that.
Plus friends and family, I guess, might be happy to help out in the early stages as well.
Yeah, a lot of people will give you help, but it's nice to be able to actually prove to someone that your service, but it wasn't a family member or a friend. It was somebody who you actually offered your service or your product to, that were delighted, and it not only helps you to market yourself, but it gives you the confidence to know that actually you have something to sell.
Yeah, great. We've got a question here. Someone has started their business a year ago. They're going through a lot of what you've talked about so far today. So well done. That's a good start. They say they feel like they can do better if they get a coach. And what benefits can a coach offer a business startup?
Well, I asked my coachees what benefits they got from me, although they haven't really started, so that's a little bit different. But a coach will focus the coachee's attention on certain actually required actions. And it depends on the kind of coach. If you want a business coach, you both agree certain objectives and certain actions, and then they have to go away. My coachee has to go away and do the actions at a specific time until we meet again. And so it helps you to do what you planned to do, because there's somebody checking up on you in a way.
Yes.
And it also helps you to reason things out and get an objective view. Everybody will say, Viv, I'm so glad that I spoke to you, because it's making me see things I didn't see. One of my new coaches, lacks confidence. And of course, I couldn't understand why. This is a very capable, competent person. How could they lack confidence? And through the discussion, they learn that actually everybody lacks a bit of confidence in the beginning, but everybody has something really valuable to offer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. And Wendy has a really helpful practical question, actually, in terms of registering. So she's got a fledgling business running on a sole trader basis at the moment. She's asking, at what point does she need to register with Companies House, if at all?
You register if you're a sole trader with I think it's HMRC. It's with self-assessment. Registering if you're self-employed, I don't think you have to register with Companies House. It's always a Google thing. Normally, it's self-assessment, because that's how you have to get a certain number so that you know that you have to pay tax on the income you make from your business.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I hope that answers your question, Wendy. Thank you for that. We've had another question about funding. Again, another one about funding. Is there a directory of funders for CICs? If not, how do you find out information about funding and funders?
Well, this is, again, Google is a very good place to start. My dance instructor, her funding was based on, there's a Google thing, but it also depends on your sector, what you're offering, because the sector-specific information, there will be sector-specific funds. And again, you can Google that. or there are funds that are location specific. What you don't want to do is pay one of these companies online to find where the funds are. There really are there. I've looked many times trying to source funding for different clients, and it's actually there. You just have to look for it.
But there just isn't one source that you can type in and type in your business type and up pops a list of funders. By the sounds of it, it takes a little
no, because funds come and go as well. And they, but you know, perhaps your Chamber of Commerce or your growth hub will be a good source of information. You know, I mean, did I say that, you know, in Derbyshire, the growth hub I just saw, because I attended a little course. They give free courses online. I attended a course, and then I get all these emails now, and they're offering free training and free coaching to businesses, to startups. And so they will have they'll be able to give you lots of help. So if you have an idea, I would go to your growth hub and take advantage of all of the free advice you can.
Yeah, okay, and which leads us nicely on to the last question. Viv, this person has said, you've mentioned growth hubs. What are they? Are they expensive? And presumably it would be also helpful to know, how do you get involved in them?
Okay, what's a growth hub? What did it used to be called? It's a new name for something that's been around. Regional development agencies, maybe, or whatever they are. These are, I think they're kind of government funded organizations that are government funded, that are set up to help small businesses. And if you just type in Growth Hub Derbyshire, you'll get Growth Hub Derbyshire. You'll get, it's an organization that has a structure with people in it that are advisors for business growth, advisors for maybe sectors, advisors maybe for finance. I don't know the ins and outs. I know that they offer free training and that they've been around for a while. Just put your county in and put Growth Hub and give them a, you know, and just contact them or go to their website and you'll see what they can do.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. And another question has just come in, Viv. How is, and perhaps you can give a few regional examples of this, but how is national and local government helping with business development and maybe funding?
Now, national government, I really haven't looked before. That used to be, that had these great big, well, Europe, there used to be so much European funding. I spent a lot of my time writing applications for European funding, and then there was national funding. And I think there probably is for things like innovation, things like, you know, it depends on what your product is. I think there's probably UK-wide funding, but I would imagine right now there's not a lot of money. I would really imagine that. Local funding, well, my coachees have been able to access local funding, but again, you really, it varies from county to county and from sector to sector. And sometimes, you know, the retail sector at one stage was being highly funded, or sometimes it's the manufacturing sector. You just have to do your research and find out. I cannot imagine. I mean, in my peak years, there was so much funding around. It was amazing, but those days have long gone.
Thank you, Viv. Well, that is it, bar one final question, which I can answer, which is someone has asked if they'd like to pitch a presentation for webinars like this to Restless. Please just get in touch with us. You can message us in the chat box at the bottom. I think you've got the option just to message the panelists. So please feel free to do that if you'd like to do that right now. Or you can email us at info@restless.co.uk with your topic that you'd like to that you'd like to pitch, and we'd love to hear from you. We are booked up with presenters until the end of March. We're going to be running these webinars once a fortnight on a Wednesday evening to begin with. But we would love to hear from more people, absolutely. So please look forward. You're anonymous here, so I don't know who you are, but we'll look forward to hearing from you. So Viv, that brings us to an end. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and thank you to all our attendees for tuning in, and we hope it was useful. We would really welcome your feedback. It was our first one. I'm sorry about the sound problems in the beginning. Please do give us feedback on the chat here or by emailing us on info@restless.co.uk, and we will look forward to seeing you again, I hope, and have a lovely rest of your evenings. Goodbye.